Hi guys, I'm Danelle and welcome back to my Danelle Diaries. I know it's been a while since my last video, so I just wanted to apologize. I guess school and kind of life in general has just been kind of busy, but it is spring break right now, so I finally have some time to sit down and make this video for you guys. So again, the three schools that I applied to were Salle, UERM, and UST. And I kind of have to dig up all my stuff. I put everything for my application process in here, so let's kind of go through this together. There's so much stuff in here. So much paper. So the three schools I applied to were Salle, UERM, and UST, and I'll make sure to include the links for each of their application pages just in case you guys want to check them out. But I'll start by going over my process with Salle, I think because theirs was the easiest. Theirs, everything was okay to be submitted online and through email, so it was really convenient because I was already here in the States by the time I was applying to all the schools, pretty much. So for Salle, I actually have a friend who is a year above me. Shout out to Sean. But after I took the NMAT in the Philippines in around October, I think 2019, Sean kind of gave me a tour of Salle, which, by the way, is a beautiful school. Like, I was really surprised. Like, even the area, I don't know about you guys, but like outside of the city, it was a lot calmer and I guess slower pace. Like, there's not as many cars and like the air was cleaner. But other than that, like their med building was really pretty. Their med library, or like the portion of the library is meant for med students, like is also like wow. But other than like the getting to see the school, I also got to talk to the admissions people to kind of see how to go about applying, even though I was going back to the States within the next couple of days. And they kind of gave me like, they gave me papers about their tuition and like their scholarship information, and then they also gave me a paper on the online application procedure, so I'll kind of go over this in a bit and go through it one by one and how I got through it all. But as far as I remember, their application process was really easy, and one thing about them is that because I'm a dual citizen, I would be considered a local applicant versus like the other schools where just because I graduated from here in the States, they would consider me foreign. But because I have a Philippine passport, Salle would consider me local. So they said that because I would be local, I would be able to be considered for like the scholarships, or like my application fee would be the local fee and tuition would be the same price as the local applicants, versus I think the foreign applicants or the foreign students have a little bit of a higher fee for applications, or and their tuition is a little bit higher. Okay, so I'm going to go over the different parts of the application procedure, and I do have it also open on my laptop just so I can make sure that I'm giving all the right information. Okay, so but first it says to fill out the online application form, and this is found just on their website. And then you also have to pay the non-refundable or non-transferable fee. And this is what I was talking about that's different for Filipino applicants versus the foreign applicants. So for Filipino applicants, it is 2,000 pesos versus for foreign applicants, it's $250. So there's quite a big difference there. But just for your information, before you apply, if you are foreign or if you are living here in the States, just double check with them, because I know that for me, since I did have the Filipino passport, they were able to consider me for Filipino. So yeah, you save a good amount of money with that fee. Okay, and then next it says you need to submit the following requirements and information together with the proof of payment. So these were like the general requirements, like most of the schools wanted this. But it was the NMAT results, the transcript of records, or the certification of grades. For us, I think if you graduate here in the States, it's just your undergraduate transcript. So the next is your PSA birth certificate, which is the Philippine Statistics Authority birth certificate. So usually if you're a local applicant, like they have your birth certificate on record. Usually if you're a dual citizen, they also have it, but I'm not sure how, but somewhere in the process of me becoming a dual citizen, it was hard for me to get my PSA birth certificate. So I remember back when I applied and emailed all of these requirements, I kind of asked if it could be to follow, because I had to go to the embassy multiple times and kind of figure this out with my mom, because I was a dual citizen under her, so we had to kind of correct it, and it was like a long process. But usually, if you're a dual citizen or if you are from the Philippines, the PSA has a copy of your birth certificate, so it's typically easy to get. I believe you can get it online now, but back then when I was in the Philippines, we would go to the actual offices to get the copy of it. And then next is the certification of your GPA. So I wasn't sure how this correlated to here in the States, so I kind of just, in the email I told them that the GPA can be found in my transcript, because I wasn't sure what a specific certification of GPA was. And then you also needed to get a certification of recommendation from previous professor addressed to the Dean of College of Medicine. So this is just your letters of recommendation. So I think I asked for 2 letters of recommendations from my professors. But when I submitted this, everything was through email, so I had to scan the recommendations myself, and kind of it was on me to look or not. And then also you need the 2x2 color pictures with the white background, which is normal for most applications. And then your certificate of graduation, which is just your diploma. So I just scanned my diploma for that. And then the notarized sworn statement. This one's just a form that they give you, and I guess you just have to sign it and have a witness sign it also. That's new, actually. I don't think that I had to do that. But that is on the website now, and I guess you just fill it out, and it doesn't seem too bad. And then after I submitted all of those, I did it through email. So I just submitted it to one of the admissions people. I think he gave me his email back then. And then after that, it just says wait for the email or for the call to schedule the Skype interview. So I think that happened. It wasn't that long that after I submitted. I think it happened probably like a couple of weeks that I submitted it, and then they sent me the interview schedule. And yeah, and the interview was easy. They just asked me questions about myself. It wasn't really anything like too technical. It was kind of more of like a just get to know you and kind of why you're doing this. And then it says after the interview, you just wait for the status and the notice of acceptance. So they'll also send that through email to you. So everything for LaSalle was pure electronic for me. No need to be like on the phone with them or figuring out how to mail things to them. Everything was pretty easy. It was just scan and go, and they were really responsive when it comes to email. So if you had any questions, they would reply to emails really fast, which is rare. I think LaSalle was one of the better schools that replies to emails for questions. Okay, so next I'll talk about my application process for UERM. And again, for UERM, I was able to go to the school physically while I was in the Philippines before I came back to the States, just to ask some questions to the admissions people, because some of the requirements I kind of wanted just to double check and confirm things, and I'll go over them as I like list down the different requirements. And yeah, okay, so for the classification of the applicants, there are the local applicants and the foreign applicants. But to be considered local for UERM, you needed to be a resident Filipino citizen or a Filipino with dual citizenship with proof of residency for at least 5 consecutive years in the Philippines. So for UERM, I was considered a foreign applicant. But for the most part, the requirements were almost the same. You had to give an original copy of your birth certificate, and this one, I believe it didn't have to be PSA. I think they accepted my normal birth certificate. And then you also needed the original copy of your transcript of records, an original copy of your NMAT score, an original copy of certification of good moral character issued by the higher educational institution. So for us, that's just the letters of recommendation again. and then you need a copy of the diploma, 2 copies of the signed online application form, and that's just a form you get online that you can print out and then just sign it. And then you need the 2 pieces again of the 2x2 ID photo. So aside from those requirements, there are also additional requirements for foreign applicants only. So this is an original copy and 2 photocopies of diploma or certificate of graduation with apostille. I don't think it was named this before. I think back then it was just called, I can't even remember what it was called, but basically what I had to do with this, and also you need an original copy and 2 photocopies of the original transcript of records with apostille. Basically what I had to do with these 2, the diploma and the official transcript, is that you take it to the embassy and they will kind of put a stamp, like an official stamp on it, just to say that it was approved or it was certified through them. And that process is easy. You kind of just, you take the 2 original copies, you bring it over there. I think they take it and then you have to wait a couple of hours and then you can pick it up the same day. Yeah, so this was a little one of the more, this was one of the more inconvenient steps in this process, but I mean, they want you to certify it, I guess. And then you also need 6 original copies of the accomplished personal history statement form, which you can also download from online. And then you need an original copy and photocopies of a notarized affidavit of support and proof of adequate financial support. So I believe this is one of the questions that I asked when I visited the admissions team at UERM. And they basically said for this that you can just have whoever is supporting you financially to kind of write a letter saying that they will be your support, and then I think we notarized that letter, and they accepted that. And then you also need photocopy of pages of the valid passport showing your name, picture, birth date, birthplace. You need an original copy and photocopies of the clearance from the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI. So this is something that I got while I was in the Philippines. It was easy. You just go to the NBI office and you apply for a police clearance. And then lastly, you need the 8 pieces of the 2x2 ID picture again. And obviously, because most of their requirements needed to be officially stamped or certified, these were part of the, like, I think I submitted all of this by mail. So I had to mail it to one of my cousins in the Philippines. So thank you, Kuya Machu. And he brought it himself to the office and submitted it himself. And then you also had to pay the application fee. So for that, it was, for foreign applicants, it was $300. So we had to pay that. And then, yeah, so for UERM, I think it was also, again, a couple of weeks, and they emailed me saying that they wanted to schedule an interview, and it was an interview with somebody who was stationed here. So I think it was a doctor who graduated from there and is also here at the moment. So it was a lot easier with the time zones and the calling through just your phone number versus a Skype ID. And so it was an over-the-phone interview, and I think this one was also more of getting to know you, getting to see your experience in the past. I think he asked more about what I've done in the past, like when I worked as an EMT, or things I've learned from everything that I've done to come to this point. So it was a little bit more thought-provoking, but the interviewer was really nice and really easy to talk to, so it kind of made you feel comfortable. Yeah, and then I think for UERM, they also emailed your acceptance letter, I think in the beginning of March, I believe. Yeah, beginning of March. Okay, and lastly, I'll go over the application process for UST. Not gonna lie, this was, I think, one of the more difficult application processes, just because emailing them was a little challenging. I know that the Office of Admission has a lot of email traffic, so response times weren't as easy, and I think calling them was also not as easy because I don't have a Philippine number. So it was just a lot more inconvenient, I guess. But again, like, it's doable. They are very understanding because you are foreign, so like if you weren't able to get something in time, I think, if I remember correctly, I had my cousin call and they were a lot more understanding of it. Yeah. But for their application requirements, they have a couple of different categories. So they have Category 1, Filipino undergraduate student from local schools. Category 2, Filipino graduates from local schools. Category 3, Filipino undergraduate students from foreign schools. Category 4, Filipino graduates from foreign schools. And Category 5, resident aliens. And Category 6, non-resident aliens. Okay, so from these categories, I would be under Category 3, which is the Filipino undergraduate students from foreign schools. As far as the requirements for the first one, you needed a signed application form, which is downloadable after you complete the online pre-registration. So yeah, when you first start applying, I think you have to sign up and make an account and then kind of fill out everything from there. And then you also needed the PSA or NSO certified true copy of birth certificate. You need your certified true copy transcript of records. And then you need your NMAT scores, the 2 certificates of good moral character or the letters of recommendation, the accomplished health questionnaire form, and I think I have an example of it. Yeah, so I photocopied an example of it, and it basically just looks like this. It's a bunch of yes or no questions that your doctor just has to sign. So I took it to her, and yeah, she just had to verify. Like, for example, it's, do you have any allergies? Do you have any history of seizures? Like, just medical information. And then you had to give your baptismal certificate if possible. So yeah, if you're baptized and you're able to get the certificate, I luckily got mine and was able to send it. But if not, I think it just says it's only if it's applicable. And then you need your certificate of naturalization if you're a naturalized Filipino. So this one I just showed my dual citizenship paperwork and my Philippine passport. And then you also, if applicable, if you have a parent who graduated from UST, you can also include their diploma or diplomas. And then lastly, the processing fee. So if you're considered a local student, which I was not, your application fee is only 3,000 pesos. But for us foreign applicants, the application fee was $320 or 17,600 pesos. So yeah, you can see the difference. Foreigners are usually required to pay more. Yeah, but so as far as these requirements, these were not as bad as like in terms of gathering it, but they did require it also to be mailed. So again, all of these paperwork I had to mail to my cousin who submitted it himself. I believe once you submit your online registration form, you had to choose a date, or I don't know if it was a time, but you had to choose a date when you would submit all of these paperwork. So I think it just needed to be sent in the mail by that time. And then for UST, they did not require an interview. All I remember after submitting the requirements is that the first week of March, I believe, this was back when pre-COVID, so they sent out the list. They first posted it on the UST bulletin, and that's actually how I heard from it, because I had a friend who sent it to me and told me I got accepted. But they also posted it online, and it's just like a huge list of all the accepted applicants. But yeah, they didn't require an interview, so that was easy. And yeah, so far, like, UST application process was okay, except for the fact that if you had questions or if you wanted to clarify things, it was a longer wait time, or it was harder to kind of reach somebody to clarify the information for you. But other than that, like, it was okay. And yeah. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any suggestions or you want to see me make any other videos. I'll try my best not to let another month and a half pass before my next video. But thank you guys for all your support, and I pray that you guys all stay safe during these crazy times.